Hello, Algebra 2. We're here. We're working on modeling data. We're still not out of quadratics. A big portion of what we did in class this entire semester, and I guess school year for you for math, is quadratics. There's nothing wrong with that. We're getting a lot of good tools and a lot of good experience using some of this stuff. So if you're here, you're struggling with the worksheet, you went through it, and now you're like, I don't really understand what I'm supposed to do at a specific spot. So feel free to fast forward if you want to get to that spot. Otherwise, I'm going to go through how to do this worksheet for you. So it says Gloria is the owner of a local pizzeria. She's recording the sales of her newest item called the Big Mechanicsburg. The table below shows how many of her specialty pizzas she sold each week. So we have the week and we have the number of pizzas she sold. First thing I ask you to do is open up a Desmos and plot the data. Okay, so we went over this in class with our little eraser flick that I did, but if you don't remember or you missed that class for some reason, here are the steps. So you're going to open a Desmos. That makes sense. It says open a Desmos. I'm going to go to graphing calculator. Instead of graphing an equation, we are going to click this plus sign and say, I want to make a table. And right there, they're going to set up a table for us with our x values and our y values. So now I'm going to have to click back and forth just a couple times. Well, I know the weeks went to 6. So 1 on the x, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now the y's. What were those numbers? 21, 41, 59. 21, 41, 59. And then the other ones were 73, 85, 94. 73, 85, 94. Great. I put my dots on there, but we have a problem. I don't see the dots. Why do I not see the dots? Well, it's because these numbers, these y coordinates, 21, 41, 59, they're pretty big numbers. This only goes to 6. So we need to, I can scroll out until I find them and move it around. Or I'm going to click this little wrench over here and I'm going to control my viewing window. This works with graphing calculators. It works with a lot of graphing type things. On my x-axis, the x's. Remember this down here we learned at the very beginning of the semester means between. Between what two numbers do we want to view? Well, I don't need negatives. The weeks start at 1 and go to 6. So I'm actually going to start at -1, just so I can see a little bit of the numbers here. If I click 0, it shoots it off to where it's off to the side and I can't see it at all. So that's why I like to start at -1. Same thing with my y values. My y values don't dip into the negatives. I don't need to see those. So I will actually go to -1 on my y values. And then how big to go on my x's. Start from -1, go to, well, it looks like it goes to 6. So let's go a little bit further just in case we want to see some stuff. And I'll hit 8. -1 to 8. Okay, still only see the 1 dot because I'm not up far enough. On my y values, I'm going to go from -1 to the biggest one I see. Biggest one I see, 94. Let's go to 100. Okay, click off of it. There we go. There are all my points. And we can start to see what starts to look like a quadratic. I think it's going to start turning around here. We won't know for sure till we fit the data. So let's go back to our worksheet. See what it says. Open our Desmos, plot the data. Check. Adjust the viewing window to see the bulk of the data, to see all of our points. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I see the data. Looks good. Step 3, take a snippet of the graph and paste it right here. Shrink it a little so it doesn't take up the entire page. Okay, for you guys, this is going to look a little different. For you guys, you hit Control, Shift, and then that button above the 6. That looks like a rectangle with 2 little lines next to it. When you do that, your cursor will turn into crosshairs, and then you can click and copy anything you want. For me, I take a snippet. Here are the crosshairs. See my crosshairs? Yours will look like those. And we just make an X over everything we want to see. So I'm going to take a snippet. Then I just took a picture of just this one little spot. I am going to copy. And then I'm going to go back to our worksheet where it says to paste it. I'm going to paste it. Okay. From here it says shrink it a little so it doesn't take up the entire page. It's pretty big, so I'll just click it, shrink it down a little bit so it doesn't take up as much room. I can click on this and move stuff around if I need to. Maybe we'll put it right there. That's okay. It shows me that you did the Desmos and you understand the steps to plotting data. Awesome. Next, it says follow the steps outlined in class and fit a curve to your data using standard form of a quadratic. So basically what I'm telling you to do is type in exactly this. y1 tilde is what that's called. Ax1 squared, all of that. So we're going to go back to our Desmos where we're at. underneath my data now, we're going to say, look, if I want this to be a quadratic, if I want this to be a parabola, a sad face, what's the closest I can get to these? What's the best parabola that I can put on this? And then the calculator will calculate it for me. So I'm going to hit just exactly what it said there. Y sub 1. You hold shift and a minus sign. Or you can click down in here and you can find the subscripts. Or maybe not. Function. Well, let's stick with shift and the minus sign. We'll give you a subscript. So get this out of my face. I don't want this anymore. Thank you. Y, shift, minus sign. It's right next to the plus sign up there. And then 1. Next, I'm going to hit to the right because I don't want to be down there anymore. That's me. Then I want that little tilde. For you guys, it's in the top left corner underneath the escape button. Not that one. Hold shift. And then we get our little tilde. It's about equal to. It should be equal to what? From here, we want A, capital A, X sub 1 again. X sub 1. That was the shift and minus sign again. Move it off of there. Now we want squared. So I'm going to hit shift and 6. Shift and 6 brings it up there. Squared. We want it to be a quadratic. Whoa, that quadratic doesn't quite look right. That's because we're not done yet. A times x sub 1 squared. Next, plus bx. So plus capital B x sub 1. Ooh, now we're getting close. And then finally, I hit to the right to get off of there. Plus capital C. And it looks pretty good. It almost hits all the points. Some of them are a little bit off, but it's pretty close. Something we can check, remember, is this r squared value. The closer this thing is to 1, the better a fit this curve is. And this is a 0.9999. This is really, really close to a perfect fit. This is almost a perfect parabola. We're left with these values, A, B, and C. That's where they go. A is negative 1.41. That would go right there. B, 24.475 right there. And C, negative 2.1 right there. Those three values would go right there for A, B, and C. So let's take a look at it. Go back to this. Follow the steps outlined in class and fit your curve. We did. What values did you get for A, B, and C? Oh, we just had those. I should have been looking. A, negative 1.41. Okay. Negative 1.41. For B, what did we get? 24.475. 24.475. And for C, what did we get? Negative 2.1. Okay. Negative 2.1. Check. It says write the prediction equation for pizza sold after a certain number of weeks. So all I'm telling you to do is plug in these A, B, and C where they belong up here for A, B, and C. But also this little thing. Instead of a Y, we're not selling yaks or yo-yos. I mean, what does Y represent? It represents the number of pizzas. So we'll use P instead of a Y, and we'll use a W instead of an X. W for weeks. That's the independent variable. So to make this happen and look pretty, I'm going to insert an equation, and I'm going to put P equals. Okay, next would be A, so that's negative 1.41 times X squared. Well, X for us was W, so W, shift 6 again, squared, nice, plus B, 475, W, plus C, but C was minus 2.1, so I'm going to put minus 2.1. There's our equation, and something that's just I'm picky about. I don't like this space, the way this is spaced, so I always put an extra space in there. It's small. I did a lot of work for that. I want people to see that. I'm going to make it bigger. And we have our equation. Awesome. Next, it says to use your prediction equation to estimate how many pizzas will be sold after 10 weeks. Okay, so I'm going in for W, which is weeks, and I'm plugging in a 10. Okay, so I'm going to get my calculator out, or we could use the Desmos, but I'm going to use the calculator on this spot. I'll show you guys what it looks like. Negative 1.41, parentheses, 10 squared. That, what was the rest of it? I can't even remember. I'm going back. 24.475. 24.475. Plus 24.475, parentheses, 10. And then minus 2.1. We can expect to sell about 101.6. Let's round that up. 102 pizzas. So 102 pizzas. How many weeks until the number of pizzas sold is a max? Again, we could be using Desmos to estimate this stuff. I can't see where the max is, so if I click back or I change my viewing window, I can see that. Look, and they even put a dot there for me. Looks like it's going to be at about 8.675. Well, how do I know for sure? What if I don't trust this? What if I want to check my math and do the algebra? All that stuff. Well, I gave you the formula. Negative b over 2a. Well, we have our b and our a stuff up here. So negative b, negative 24.475, divided by 2 times a. And a is negative 1.41. We get 8.68. What did we say when we were on Desmos? 8.675. Pretty close. And I didn't use all these numbers, 0.071, but we have our how many weeks it takes. We have our maximum here. We could have used the algebra and plugged them in to get them, but you can write those in for number 6 and 7. And then finally it says to use the Pythagorean theorem. Well, let's change that. That's silly talk. The quadratic formula to calculate how many weeks until everyone is bored with this new pizza and 0 are sold. So again, we can use the quadratic formula. I want you to, so write out all your steps for the quadratic formula. We'll start by A, B, and C. A, B, C. Next, I'm going to calculate that. Next, we'll do the discriminant, which was B squared minus 4AC. Good. And finally, that last step was to put it all together and put the quadratic formula in there. And the quadratic formula was, see if I can do it all at once, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. We're going to plug those numbers in. You'll get one that's a positive number. You'll get one that's maybe a negative number, but we want to know how many pizzas until, or how many weeks until there's 0 left. So we want the positive one, yeah. We don't want this. This will be too positive. This really tiny one, we're throwing it out. This is like before week 1 is even sold. We just roll them out. We want the one that's down here. We want to figure that out. Okay, so rip it through the Pythagorean theorem. And that's it. We're modeling data. You're in the quadratic land, but not everything is a perfect quadratic. So we have to model and have Desmos model for us what is the closest parabola to all these points, to this data. And then we can do all the same things we were doing. Okay? Moving on.